YouTube? Crazy Jeep Man here. It's come to my attention, or has been asked, basically, for me to explain how to install the Prestige Off-Roads inner fenders along with the Prestige Off-Road fender flares. Because whenever I did the install videos, I did the inner fenders with a whole different set of metal fender flares from a different company. After that, then I did the Prestige Off-Road fender flares. And so what I want to do today is I want to show you how both of them work together, because usually whenever you buy the flares, you're going to buy the inner fenders as well. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to install the inner fenders with the Prestige Off-Road fender flares, and then also show you how to install the marker light that comes with the flares. So join me now as we go through the steps of how to properly install the inner fenders with the Prestige Off-Road fender flares.
All right, here we are at the Jeep, and as you can see, I've already got the Prestige Off-Road fender flares installed. Now, I've already had the inner fenders installed and the marker lights ran prior to this video. So what I did was I removed them, and so I could show you how to do it properly. First step is to install them. You want to go around with all the bolts that you use to tighten it up to the body, and you want to loosen those up. You don't have to take them all the way out, but you want to have them loosened up to where the fender flares are loose to the body, where you can basically have a little bit of slack in them. All right, if we remember properly, this is the bracket that we use to install to add support for the fender flares. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here to the inner bolts on the bracket, and you're going to loosen them up to the point where this is loose. You can wiggle it around. You got to have this gap here to slide your inner fenders in behind it, because you want the inner fenders to go behind this bracket, and then your anchor bolt will go around the back side. So first, on that right there, you want to loosen up this bracket. All right, so with the bracket loose here, what you want to do is, with your inner fender, you want to make sure your anchor bolt is laid back against the inside wall of your inner fender. Slide it in here, in behind the bracket, and you're going to take it up and line your bolt up. See, it's in behind the bracket here. If you do it without doing all this, your inner fenders are going to sit out here, and it's going to have a big gap between the anchor and the firewall and the inside of the inner fender. So you want to make sure you slide it in behind there, and then put your rear part of your inner fender in like so. All right, once you have your inner fender, the rear part of your inner fender installed, before you install the front side, you want to go in behind this inner fender with your arm this way and hold the back bolts, nuts for these bolts here, so you can tighten them down properly before moving forward. If you move forward and install the whole inner fender before doing this, you're not going to be able to get to these to tighten them up. So again, before you go to the front part of the inner fender, you want to make sure, go in behind here, hold it with a wrench. They have locking washers, so once it gets to a point, it'll start tightening up by itself. But you want to make sure you tighten these bolts up before moving forward. I'm going to go ahead and say, to get it in like super easy, just go ahead and take out the bolts or the screws that hold it into the subframe mount. There, and there's a bolt, and then also the front of your fender. You might as well go ahead and pull this one and this one as well, and just set them up on top of the fender here. And let me show you how to pop this thing in real quick.
All right, now that we've gotten the 7 front bolts taken out, set them aside, not very far because you're going to put them right back in. What that does, it allows the fender to move back and forth. Don't remove any more bolts besides the front 7. That's from this bolt back, 7 bolts. Take those out and set them to the side. Now let me show you how we're going to put the front part of the inner fender in. Basically, you place it in here like you're going to mount it. Remember, this is aluminum and it flexes, right? So we're going to put it in here. You're going to pull your fender out while you're doing this. Put it in just like that. Just like that. And then you'll turn around and you'll put your bolts back in, and then we'll move on to doing the side marker light. All right, now that we got the inner fender in, then we'll take the 3 bolts left that we have to do. Now that we got the inner fender in behind the fender itself, now what the first bolt that I want to put in is the one that's going to be right behind the fender. The reason being is because that's the one that's going to be hardest to get to once it goes up against here and you start tightening everything up. So you want to make sure you put this bolt in first, then the other 2. Then you tighten your fender up. Then we'll go into drilling the hole for the side marker light. All right, now that we got the fenders, the inner fenders in, what I did was I did a pilot hole through this, and then I put a 3/8 drill bit and drilled the hole because the back end of the actual side marker light is 3/8. All right, and to tighten them up, you basically will slide it through, put the nut on the back, and what I do is I actually turn this and tighten it from the back until it gets tight. And then I'll usually get a wrench and what I do is I'll tighten it up from the back side. But after you get it tight, you'll take these wires, you'll run it to your side marker lights, run it to your DRLs, run it to whatever you want. That's your choice. But this is how you install the Prestige Off-Road inner fenders with the Prestige Off-Road fender flares. So if you have any questions, please just feel free to ask and I will answer away. But that'll be it for me here at Crazy Jeep, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.